Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 1392. We did a show yesterday, if you didn't know, called Monsoon, in honor of the crazy weather we've been having lately, the hot weather in the Bay Area. But it's Mike Matthews broadcasting from Café Anyway, located somewhere in Podcastro Valley, Mont. Today, we hear from Benita, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player, and the Brewmaster. And I can't believe
Mike's Daily Podcast.
After years and years and years of hinting at doing it, they finally made a Doctor who's a woman.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
In the next season, there will be an actress named Jodie Whittaker taking over the position of the Doctor, and she will be using the TARDIS to go all over the universe and talking to people, and she'll converse with, hey, the current companion is a lesbian, so that's going to work out well.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
And Stephen Moffat will be gone, finally. And the guy who's doing Broadchurch is taking over.
Mike's
and Jodie Whittaker was
Daily
on Broadchurch, so
Podcast.
that explains it all. And a former Doctor, David Tennant, was on Broadchurch as well. So see how it all comes back around. I think I am poisoning myself with my smoothie today. I took an apple, chopped it up, and I think the apple may have gone bad. And I think I drank a little of it, and it had it felt like I was burning my insides out. I don't like that. Look who just walked in. Hi, Ma. It's Benita the Rodeo Queen. How you doing?
It's a Disgruntled Fiddle Player, tell you what.
What?
You shouldn't burn your insides now. You know, what you do is you want to make your insides feel good by eating hot, sizzling bacon.
Bacon. Look who else walked in.
Hello there, Mike. I make the delicious root beer. I'm the Brewmaster. Oh, boy. Let me pour you some right now.
What's in this root beer?
Bacon.
Remember when bacon was all the rage? And now, scary, scary bacon. Well, it's scary to some animals in this world. And you know, I don't think it's as big a thing anymore. What's the big thing now? It's ganja. No, I don't know. Hey, so what I discovered yesterday was very, very hot. So I got home, and I immediately...
And here's today's podcast picture.
Went downstairs where it's cooler, and Basil the Boxer and I took a long nap because I'd gotten up very early yesterday. And then we ended up heading over to the Oyster Bay Regional Shoreline Park, whatever it's called. And I went there with Basil, and we had a fun time walking around, but it was still hot. And he's panting up a mess, so it's just, hot. Hey, do dogs like to be mimes? Can dogs do a good job being a pantomime? Not so sure. Hey, so today is a shorter podcast. They're going to be pretty much shorter from here on out because of the wonderful thing I have to do at 6 o'clock. So I have to get this done like it's 5:32 right now. I have to wrap up the show. Pretty much. But we got some news to get to in the segment known as Note to Self. And check out the website, mikesdailypodcast.com. The podcast picture, by the way, and you can see all the past podcast pictures at mikesdailypodcast.com, is of me. If you don't know what I look like, there I am. This was taken last week. At the Fairmont Ridge, somewhere around in that location where there's a bunch of trails where you can walk your dog and walk around, and there's hills, and make sure your dog is not aggressive. Be a smart and responsible dog owner. That was my little tip. Hey, so this podcast also can be found at mikesdailypodcast.com and a myriad of places. The list is there at the website, and you can help out the show if you want to do any shopping on Amazon. Make sure to go through mikesdailypodcast.com first and click on the Amazon link. That helps us out if you do that one little extra step. And there's also the PayPal if you'd like to help us out that way. You'll become an inglorious Mike's Daily Podcaster and get a special greeting from all the Café Anyway characters. Hey, it's time for the segment called
Note to self.
In Alabama, where I used to live, where Republican dominance is unchallenged, Donald Trump carried every county in the state's presidential primary last year and defeated Hillary Clinton by an almost 2-to-1 margin. I remember voting for Obama in 2008 in Alabama, and I remember I had to wait in a really long line. I think they didn't want me to vote for him. I did, and it really didn't matter because Alabama went to McCain anyway. But now ahead of the August 15th primary to fill the Senate seat vacated by our new Attorney General Jeff Sessions, who kind of talks like this. The leading GOP candidates are accusing each other of showing insufficient loyalty to the president, whom they speak of with divine reverence. This according to Alex Seitzwald of NBC News. And it's important to cite reporters when you're talking about their stories, because so often our president says, reporters don't know anything anymore. They're all corrupt. And nowadays you can Google that reporter and find out for yourself if they're corrupt or not. If all they ever do is write for Breitbart, for example. Incumbent Senator and Marvel Comics character Luther Strange, who was appointed to fill the seat temporarily in February, called Trump's election a biblical miracle. Roy Moore, the twice-elected, twice-deposed Chief Justice of the Alabama Supreme Court, said, God sent Donald Trump in there. And Representative Mo Brooks, a Tea Party favorite, has vowed to read the King James Bible on the Senate floor until the president's border wall gets built. Ay, ay, ay. Well, speaking of looking south of our border, how about in Honduras? There's this, every year the sky rains fish. Things don't come easy. Something that makes the residents of La Union feel pretty special. The skies, they say, rain fish. It happens every year. And then there's I'm not going to go into that story because it's ridiculous, but this is sad. Martin Landau has died. He was 89 and he was in Ed Wood, and he said, pull the string, pull the string. He played Bela Lugosi in that movie, and he won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor in it. He was also in Alfred Hitchcock's North by Northwest, and he was in Space 1999, the television show that was a sci-fi classic. I think it was done by some British company, and he was also in Mission Impossible. That's right. So, the very wonderful Martin Landau, every interview I've seen with him, he was just a gracious, wonderful actor. And finally, the world was a different place 10 years ago. Avery Hartzman wrote in Tech Insider, a decade ago, you couldn't order an Uber on your phone. Remember that? You had to actually, call a taxi or your mother. And you couldn't surf the web on Google Chrome. You couldn't rent a place to stay on demand with Airbnb. I think there was RBO, rent by owner, but let's take a look at some of the... They have listed the 18 things that didn't exist 10 years ago. Well, the iPad, for one, wasn't around. Snapchat wasn't around. Spotify had not... it launched in October of 2008. So not quite 10 years, in Stockholm, Sweden. The pair behind the company, Daniel Ek and Martin Lorentzon, came up with the name Spotify in 2005 when Lorentzon was sleeping on a bare mattress in Ek's apartment. They launched a public beta in the spring of 2007, but it wasn't until the company signed licensing deals with Sony, Universal, BMG, and more that Spotify officially launched. At first, anyone could buy a premium subscription, but the free version of Spotify was available by invite only. Now it has 140 million active users. Oculus, the virtual reality platform, did not exist yet. Stripe, a startup aiming at disrupting online payments, eventually launched in September of 2011. Instagram wasn't around yet. It was first launched in 2010 with 25,000 people signing up on the first day. By 2011, Instagram was Apple's iPhone app of the year, and by 2012, Facebook shelled out $1 billion to buy it and now uses it and has gotten 200 million daily active users. Kickstarter wasn't around yet. The platform for launching and backing independent companies and products got its start actually in 2009. I remember hearing a NPR story about it and thought, oh, what an interesting concept. The Android was a platform. The Google founder Sergey Brin and engineering director Steve Horowitz debuted Google's Android operating system in November of 2007, so not quite 10 years. They put to bed the rumors that Google was launching a G phone, although 9 years later, Google did just that with the launch of the Pixel. I don't think it's done that well, though. But I'd like to introduce you to the Android platform, Horowitz said. This is a platform we hope will enable people to create thousands of G phones. These days, 2 billion active devices are running Android software, but I don't have a G phone. I have a Samsung. And of course, there's the LTC and all those other makers of phones that use it. Lyft wasn't around yet. It didn't launch till 2012. Pinterest hadn't started quite yet. It didn't start till 2010. Square wasn't around yet. And now that has enabled so many independent, self-employed folks to get paid. 4G networks hadn't been launched as of yet, and the Venmo first went online in 2007. It began as a music startup, but the founders decided to switch to payments after founder Ikram Magron Ismail came to visit co-founder Andrew Cortina in New York City for the weekend and forgot his wallet. WhatsApp wasn't around yet. Slack wasn't around. And there you go. As we go outside of Café Anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcaster Valley. Next show, it'll be Madame Rootabega, Valentino, and Bison Bentley. Enjoy your day. It was swell, wasn't it? The show? Wasn't it just swell? Swell.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!